The underground utility community is growing faster than ever. You need to be prepared to get the job done and get it done safely. This video will help you be aware of potential hazards and learn best practices for trenching properly. It is not a substitute for the operator's manual. Before you use your machine, read and understand the operator's manual, which can be found on your machine or at ditchwitch.com. In addition to this video and the operator's manual, the safety section of the Ditch Witch website features an extensive list of safety guidelines that we recommend you read and review frequently. Only use original equipment, manufacturer replacement parts. Do not make any modifications to your equipment unless it is approved by the Ditch Witch factory. Protect yourself by wearing the appropriate personal protective equipment for the job site. This can include breathing and hearing protection, safety glasses, high visibility vest, a hard hat, gloves. Follow the PPE manufacturer's recommendations for proper inspection and replace as needed. Do not wear any jewelry or loose or frayed clothing that can catch on controls or rotating parts, and tie back all long hair. Now that you've prepared yourself, it's time to prepare your equipment. Regular maintenance and inspection are essential to the safe operation of equipment. With the engine off, check all hydraulic hoses and connections for visible signs of leaking daily. Check the ground under the machine after it has been sitting for any visible signs of leaking. Check all fluid levels and refill any that needed. Check the safety guards and shields for any damage and replace if needed. This includes verifying the bolts on your restraint bar are tightened properly and the operator's presence system is operating correctly. Always refuel with the engine off and allow the engine to cool before refueling. If it is a gasoline engine, keep the gas can away from the battery and hot parts on the engine. Check the digging chain and teeth. Avoid using badly worn teeth or a chain not at the proper tension. Anytime you replace the chain, always replace the sprockets at the same time. If your machine is equipped with a pull start rope, make sure the rope recoils correctly and the rope is not frayed or cut, and the handle is not broken or cracked. Fluid injection can lead to amputation, so use cardboard, not your hand, to check for hydraulic leaks with the system pressurized. Check all controls to make sure they are working properly. Refer to the equipment checklist located on ditchwitch.com/safe for a full list of items to check before operation. You and your machine are ready to work. It's time to prepare the job site. Review the information already available about the job and job site. The more you know about and plan for the job site before you begin, the less likely you'll be to work around any surprises. Review blueprints, right-of-way, geological information, and maps of existing underground utilities and planned installation. Check for information about existing or planned structures, elevations, or proposed work that may be taking place at the same time. Inspect the job site for evidence of utilities, slopes, soil type and conditions, and obstacles such as buildings, railroad crossings, or streams you may have while trenching. Use the correct tools, machinery, safety equipment, and work methods. After you have gathered all the necessary information, plan the proposed excavation. If the job site is around schools, hospitals, heavy traffic or populated areas, or a business district, traffic or pedestrian control may need to be arranged before arriving at the job site. Contact local authorities considering any permits, notifications, or planning that needs to take place prior to trenching. Review the excavation plans and mark the proposed trench path with white paint, also known as white lining. By doing this, you let the locator know where exactly the trenching will be taking place. Then, contact your local one-call to have underground utilities located before digging. Unless it is an emergency, you must give one-call advance notice to allow time for utilities to be marked. Also, contact any utilities that do not participate in the one-call service. Some utility companies locate only to the meter, so there may be lines that are not marked. Utilities on government land, such as schools, Air Force bases, etc., are privately located. It is imperative you have all underground lines and cables located and marked before operating equipment, and verify those locates. Remember, locates are not exact. Do not rely on the locate markings alone to help minimize the risk of damaging underground utilities. Use a locator and information around you to verify that locates are correct. Some contractors use a positive response acknowledgement. Therefore, they do not begin work until they have positive response a locate has been complete. Some utility providers require a photograph of the proposed excavation area showing the locate marks before the contractor is authorized to dig or trench. If locate marks are damaged, the locate must be repeated. Once the locates have been completed and verified, you are ready to classify the job site according to the underground hazards already in place. For example, if you are working within 10 feet of electrical lines, the job site would be classified as electric, and additional precautions would be taken. Now that you know what the potential hazards will be on the job site, have an emergency response plan in case of an underground strike. Have the local emergency and medical facilities phone numbers on hand, and have access to a telephone. If your unit is equipped with a cab, use either door for an emergency exit. If you damage a utility, contact the utility company immediately. If you need to shut down the machine for an emergency, turn off the ignition switch. Having procedures in place before an emergency occurs helps you and others respond quickly and effectively. In the event of an electric strike and you are on the machine, remain on the machine and warn others of an electric strike and instruct them to leave the area. Raise attachments and drive from the immediate area. Contact the utility company and do not return until given permission by the utility company. If you are off the machine, do not touch the machine. Leave the area using small shuffle steps and contact the utility company. Do not return until given permission by the utility company. If a gas line is damaged, immediately shut off the engine and remove any ignition sources if this can be done safely and quickly. Warn others of a possible strike and leave the area as quickly as possible. If the job site is along a street, stop traffic. Do not return to the job site until given permission by emergency personnel and the utility company. If a fiber optic cable is damaged, do not look into cut-ins of fiber optic as it could damage vision. Call the utility company immediately. If the machine catches on fire, get off machine and move the battery disconnect switch to the disconnect position if this can be done safely and quickly. If the fire is small and a fire extinguisher is available, attempt to extinguish the fire. If this cannot be done, leave the area and contact emergency personnel. Cutting concrete or stone may create crystalline silica or quartz dust. Additional precautions may be required, such as breathing protection and the use of water spray or other means to control dust. Follow all OSHA guidelines. Before every trip, inspect the trailer and tow vehicle. Securely connect safety chains and breakaway devices. Make sure lights are connected and working properly. Check trailer tires for wear and proper inflation. Always use the proper hitch type and size, and make sure the tow vehicle is rated for the weight of the trailer and equipment. If the vehicle is not large enough for the load, you can lose control of the vehicle. Distribute weight properly on the trailer. 10 to 15% of total trailer weight, which is the weight of the equipment plus the trailer, must be on the tongue to help prevent trailer sway. Always use proper restraints and binders to tie equipment down, even if you're traveling only a short distance. Always load and unload the trailer on level ground. Attach the trailer to the vehicle before loading or unloading. To load your unit, first pull the boom control to raise the digging boom, but keep it as low as possible. Move the unit to the rear of the trailer or truck and align it with the ramps or the center of trailer bed. Slow the engine to low throttle. Slowly drive the unit onto the trailer or truck until the tie-down position is reached. On a tilt bed trailer, expect the bed to tilt. Push the boom control to lower the digging boom if space allows. Turn off the engine, close the fuel shutoff valve, and engage the park brake if equipped. To unload, first lower the ramps and/or unlatch the tilt bed. Remove the tie-downs. Start the engine. Then disengage the park brake if equipped. Pull the boom control to raise the digging boom, but keep it as low as possible. With the engine at low idle, slowly back the unit down the ramps or bed. Before operating your unit, be familiar with the controls and proper operation of the machine. Most Ditch Witch machines have a color-coded system for identifying controls. Your unit needs someone at the controls at all times, and the operator's presence system should stop movement when an operator is not at the controls. Only operate your machine from the operator's station. If your machine is equipped with a swivel seat, the seat is intended to be in the forward position for driving and in the side position only for trenching. Many units have two controls for the ground drive. A foot pedal, intended to be used for driving and backfilling, is typically a hold-to-run control that returns to neutral when released. A hand control for trenching is typically a friction-held control that will stay in place. All seated operator machines are equipped with a seatbelt. It is very important that you wear a seatbelt while operating equipment, as all mobile equipment can tip over. Seated operator machines have a rollover protective structure, or ROPS, that is intended to protect the properly seated operator wearing a seatbelt. The ROPS should never be modified or welded. In the event of a tip-over or rollover, the ROPS must be replaced. Before starting, all controls should be in the neutral position, and the parking brake, if equipped, should be engaged. Turn the ignition switch to start the engine and release the park brake. While operating equipment, keep bystanders and other workers at least 6 feet away from the reach of equipment. Stop the machine if anyone gets too close. Keep everyone away from the digging chain when it is engaged. There is no reason to be close to a moving digging chain. As shown, the trench sides can cave in near the digging chain. If someone was standing near the trench when it gives way, they could get caught in the digging chain, which will cause severe injury or death. Also, if there is any hidden material in the trench, such as rebar or barbed wire, the bystander can get caught in or struck by the material or get pulled into the digging chain. It is imperative everyone stays at least 6 feet away from the digging chain at all times. In the event of an emergency, or if anyone comes near the equipment, use the controls to stop the attachment and ground drive, or shut off the ignition switch. All Ditch Witch trenchers are to be operated by one person from the operator's station. There should be no riders at any time. Some machines have an axle lock to assist trenching. If equipped, lock the axles while trenching and unlock for driving and steering. Drive to the starting point. Position the unit in line with the planned trench. Set parking brake and lower backfill blade if available. Be sure to start trenches away from obstructions such as curbs, slabs, and fences that digging teeth may catch. Push the boom control to lower the digging boom to just above the ground. Push the digging chain control to dig position. The digging chain will begin to move. Slowly lower the digging boom to the desired trench depth. Raise backfill blade and release parking brake. Move the speed direction control to the desired speed. Remember that trenching direction is toward the operator. The machine may jerk when digging starts. If an optional trench cleaner is used, Ensure that the trench cleaner is in the raised position before starting the machine. Once the desired depth is reached, pull the boom control to raise the digging chain just level with the ground. Then shut off the engine, lower the trench cleaner shoe into place, restart the engine, and resume digging. While trenching, watch the digging chain. Look in the direction of travel periodically to a sight or string to ensure trench is staying on target. Do not drive in the trench. When trenching or getting the trencher into position, avoid making sharp turns. To avoid wheel slip while trenching, try to match the required ground speed with the soil conditions, using only enough to move the machine ahead with each rotation of the tire. Always stop trenching to make trench observations, such as trench depth. If an object becomes lodged in the chain, move the digging chain control to neutral and raise the boom slightly. Reverse the chain direction. If the object must be removed manually, turn off the engine first. Trencher booms can kick up or down if the chain hits an underground obstruction, such as a tree branch or concrete footing. On walk-behind machines, this will cause the handles to be forced downward or upward suddenly. Hold the handles with an open grip and stand back from the console. Avoid operating on slopes. Perform a risk assessment on each slope to determine if factors affecting risks create an unsafe condition. Ground conditions, such as loose or wet soil, rough terrain, etc., reduce traction. Never work on an incline during rain, snow, or sleet. Saturated soil can give way and cause the machine to become unstable and tip over. Keep the heavy end of the machine facing uphill. If operating a ride-on unit, travel only straight up and down a hill. If it is necessary to travel across, swing attachments to the uphill side if possible. Keep attachments low. If operating a walk-behind unit, always stay on the uphill side of the machine, so if a tip-over was to occur, it won't tip in your direction. Attachments or loads can raise or lower the center of gravity quickly. Keep them as low as possible. Counterweights may be required to make the front or rear loads balance when all of the attachments are raised. Equipment should have the proper counterbalance for operation on flat ground. If not properly counterbalanced, a tip-over is more likely to occur on an incline. Refer to your operator's manual for more information on counterweights. Some units are equipped with cruise control and tilt frames. When using the cruise control, the ground drive speed will adjust automatically to the soil conditions. All controls have to be in neutral for cruise control to work. With tilt frames, you are able to dig vertical trenches on uneven ground. Only operate on slopes when a risk assessment has been completed and deems it safe to do so. Your machine may come equipped with a backhoe. The backhoe should only be operated from the backhoe seat. Never operate the backhoe with someone in the operator station of the machine. No bystanders should ever be within 6 feet of the backhoe. Always operate the backhoe with the stabilizers lowered. If your unit comes with a roto-witch drilling attachment, keep everybody at least 10 feet away from the drill rod during operation. Before using the attachment, check to make sure the yoke guard is installed, decals are present, and the controls are functioning correctly. The roto-witch control must return to neutral when the control is released. While connecting the drill rod to the drilling attachment, have a helper lightly hold the rod with palms open and direct the unit operator to move the unit forward slowly. Do not straddle the trench or drill rod while drilling. Keep all body parts away from the rotating shaft. Do not wear frayed or loose clothing. The rotating shaft can grab clothing. Always use an approved Ditch Witch drill string guide to help align the drill string as it enters the soil, and only stand on the left side of the approach trench. The unit needs to be turned off and no one at the controls while replacing drill bit with back reamer at the exit pit. Never use the drill string guide during back reaming or pullback. The most important component for safety on any job site is you, the equipment operator. It is your responsibility to make sure the equipment is ready to operate properly. Contact your local Ditch Witch dealership if you have any questions about operation, maintenance, or equipment use. We're here to help you get the job done safely, efficiently, and effectively. After all, we're in this together.